Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Our first guest on our special edition today is Louis Morales. Lou,
thanks for having me.
welcome to the neighborhood. We do stuff a little bit different than most places. Most times you see a realtor, they start off with, this is how much business I do and this is how cool I am. And we like to do a personal thing. So we start off with the pre-real estate Lou.
Okay.
And we know you got a bunch of stuff and you've traveled a really cool path to take you here. So just kind of talk a little bit about your journey from like high school to pre-real estate. How did you get here and what was the windy path you traveled down?
Well, going through high school, actually I went to arts high school.
Okay.
So that's like a vocational school where you're artistic. So in my case, I was fine art, drawing, photography, things of that nature.
For real? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
So
have guessed
painting, yeah. You know the guy, Bob Ross, right? Mm-hmm. Happy Little Trees.
Happy Trees, man.
That was me. So I did all that stuff.
Okay.
Different mediums, whatever. I was always good with my hands, right? And so growing up, somehow I got into construction. My stepdad was doing it. He hired me for the summer jobs, and I could care less about it, right? But he forced me into it because as you're a young kid growing up, what do, right? Your dad kind of gets you going.
Whatever they tell you to do.
Right. So I did it not realizing that I would develop into a construction business. And so I actually went to college and all that stuff, but it wasn't for me in the sense of like the normal jobs, right? I was always a business mindset. And so I actually owned a mechanic shop. Remember Fast and Furious?
Sure.
So I used to do turbos, nitrous, audio systems.
The fun stuff,
fiberglass,
right?
Yeah, the Lamborghini doors, rims. I used to do all that stuff back in 2008.
Okay.
Transitioned out. I got into financing. I worked for Wells Fargo. I was a banker, credit cards, loans, etc. I've done so many different things, right? And then I jumped into construction, started my business. Didn't know nothing about construction at the time, right? Just like handyman stuff. I learned code, learned all the electrical requirements, plumbing requirements, the basic stuff, bathrooms, kitchens, etc. And then I started the flipping on the construction side, right? Bought a house, flipped it, right? Fixed it up. It was a rental, but I used an agent. So as time progressed, I had this idea in my head. And back last year, I went ahead for it, right? I teamed up with someone and the idea was we would partner up and I would cover, my goal was 4 transactions a year.
Okay.
Right? That was, to me in my mind, that was okay, right? Every quarter, you figure closing takes about 30, 40 days by the time you find a house, et cetera, et cetera. And I was okay with that because I have my income from the construction side, right? And I'm trying to manage 2 things. I go in, we decided to go separate ways. I started doing my thing, focused, and I actually enjoyed meeting people. I was so involved. And then I went actually head first, right? And so now I operate the construction and the real estate full time on both sides. Crazy difficult, right? It's difficult, but here we are. And so leading from high school to now, this is where we're at. And as you see, I'm doing a lot of different things, right?
Sure.
We created the team.
Yeah.
We're 7 agents. We cover New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island. In about 2 months or so, we're going to be going down to Florida.
Okay.
And we're still pushing.
Yeah.
Market is what it is, but we're pushing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you're mostly North Jersey, right? Like, you're pretty far drive from here.
Right. I'm about So from north to south, I'm about an hour and a half drive difference, depending on where we're at. But I come down here. I've done 2 deals down here. And we're working on more deals down here, and we're expanding.
Yeah.
Part of my team. So we cover North Jersey, and then we have 2 people in Middlesex County or Central Jersey.
Okay.
And I make the efforts to come down here. We make it happen.
Right.
Wherever the deal is, we get there.
And now, what do you look for in a team member? Like, if someone's watching this and they're like, "Hey, maybe I'll be a good fit for Lou's team," what are you looking for?
So I think, and this is in general for anything as far as growth and progression, right? You want somebody who's hungry. For me, I'm looking for somebody who is hungry. You may not know all the things in real estate. You may not know the industry. You may not know whatever you don't know, but you that's the easy stuff, right? We can train. There's videos, there's one-on-ones, there's interviews, meetings, etc. But it's difficult to train that hunger, right? That ambition, that drive. That's what's difficult to train. And so, you're hungry and you have the drive. Let's get there.
You wouldn't believe how many people have that same answer. Like I've said numerous times, there's no work ethic pill that you can give somebody.
Right.
Like if someone has that drive, I can teach you how to sell, or I can teach you an industry. But if you're a really good salesman with a shitty work ethic, I can't do anything to help you grind harder or get out of bed earlier or do whatever.
You can't train. That's stuff you cannot train. That's a personality. That's a character trait that comes from the individual, right?
Yeah.
And some people, you fall off a little bit. So the motivation's there, right? So my job as the lead would be to motivate, etc., encourage. But overall, that's really the mindset, right? We want to be driven. I want to grow.
Yeah.
And you want to grow. So let's grow together.
Yeah. And motivation, for the most part, is temporary. You know what I mean? Like if you're down in the dumps or you're feeling a little beat up, I can call you up and give you a little pep talk, run back and do whatever. But
we all need that.
Yeah, everybody needs that for sure. You just can't do that twice a day, every day for 5 months. You know what I mean? Like eventually it's like, hey, either it's this or it's that kind of thing. And, I notice, especially I got a bunch of younger kids, and the younger that they get from like 30 down to 21 to 17, the worker bee grinder mentality tends to
dissipate.
Disappear
for
sure.
It's almost
for sure.
like non-existent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I like the fact that there's a bunch of my younger kids' friends that are like not talking crazy about, hey, I want to be a YouTube star, but like finding out a way to do 4 or 5 little side gigs on the internet to make money. That's cool. That's like modern grinding. That's not like
that's that
cold
hustler
call.
mindset. That's that hustler mindset. Yeah.
Same type thing. But then there's other of them that are just like, I'm gonna hang out here, and this is all gonna come to me, and something will figure out.
And I've dealt with those people too, right? But I mean, so I take information. Over the years I've learned, and you listen to people who, right? If you want to make money, you got to listen to people who make money, right? You want to be where the big people are. You have to acclimate yourself to what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And so there's like for me, I did the construction, then we have the real estate, then I buy, sell for clients, but then I also invest. So I'm also looking at properties and where we can make money and manipulate those situations, right?
Right.
So it's always a growth. It's never stagnant, right? Everyone complains right now, the market's tough and whatever, and it is. We all know that the market's tough, but where are you adapting?
Sure.
Right? Because you have to adapt with whatever's happening. And so these are those personal or character traits where it's not like it's taught, but it's got to be in you to understand if things aren't a certain way now, let's modify, right? It's a constant modification, always. If you're not changing your business as the times are moving forward, then your business is stagnant.
Yeah.
If you're stagnant, you're not growing. If you're not growing, well, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny. I talked to a bunch of realtors and a bunch of other loan officers, and they're like, the market's tough. And I'm like, well, maybe. But the market's always tough. Real estate's not an easy industry. The market was tough 2 years ago when you had 57 offers on a property and you were missing out on all the other stuff. The market's tough when you have no buyers, and it's always tough. You know what I mean? Like, there's never going to be a time where it's easy money. Sure, it's easy to sell a house when there's 57 offers, but those people have to turn around and buy a house too.
Correct.
So it's not easy for both sides. There's always some degree of toughness for it, or else you would get paid $1.35 an hour and you wouldn't be a highly compensated person. The skill set comes with it. And so like when people are like, oh, it's tough. I mean, I don't know. There's always tough. It's tough when rates are high. It's tough when rates are low. It's tough. It's work.
True. It's
you know
work.
what I mean?
Work is work.
It's about perspective. Like, hey, look, it's tough, but you can make a lot of money doing it. So figure out how to make it
adaptability.
Right. Figure out how to make it work for you. It's tough. So if it's really tough, then impress your client with how easy you make it look when it's tough, and you'll get more business.
Right.
Perspective.
No, it's true, and it's always I refer to myself as coachable, right? So I'm always looking at other agents that are successful, other people that are doing things in any business in general, right? Because you can always take things from other businesses and apply them depending on the circumstance. And it's always about learning or growing. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And so in a market like today, for example, South Jersey, all the properties are lower cost, right? Maybe $250,000 in general on average. In North, it's about $500,000.
Right.
So, and it's still garbage, right? Like, and I refer to it as garbage because, you know, $500,000 in the North gets you not even like a great situation.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if we come $500,000 in the South, you're getting a really nice house.
Right.
And so that's that scenario, right? So, and then it's very difficult to qualify for $500,000 in general, right? Because the down payments are higher, et cetera. But then if you go to the South, maybe the qualifications are not the same because it's lesser income, right? So no matter where you are, it's kind of a same situation, right?
Right.
And or in the South, you have more properties to sell. In the North, they're scarce, right?
Right.
So I mean, I'm right now, as an example, I'm in Hudson County. I'm shopping for a client, and there's like 4 houses, right, in an entire section of the city. So how do you find something for someone when there's only 4 options and they're not really great?
Right.
And it's $500,000, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
it's very hard. But when you do get your deals, you know, they're great.
It's funny because there's such a variety of North and South. I remember when I first got into the mortgage industry, I did a transaction in Rutherford, New Jersey, which is like right on the edge.
Right.
You
Next
know?
to MetLife over by the 17th.
Yeah. And back then, we had to go on appointments, you know what I mean? So you drove to the house, whether it was North Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. When you did a mortgage, you drove to their house. And it was like 2004, you know, and I had a flip cell phone, and I'm driving, and I can't find this lady's house. I have my MapQuest directions printed out, you know, and I did the pre-interview with them to get everything ready to bring the app out to them, and she's telling me her house is worth $475,000. And I'm in my South Jersey mindset of $475,000 is a mansion, you know?
Correct.
So I'm driving down the street in Rutherford, and I'm like, I can't find this house. I don't really know. I call her on the phone. She's like, it's in between this and this and this. And I pull up, and I'm like, I can't believe this.
You're like, this is garbage.
This is the
Yes.
This is the house she's telling me is $475,000. Yeah. I'm like, no way. So then I like begrudgingly walked inside because I thought I wasted 2 hours of my time driving up here because there's no way this house is worth what she says it is, and if it ain't, we're screwed. Right. So I sit through everything, do this, and I drove back, and appraisal comes in at $515 over what she said it was worth. I'm like, man, it's like that house in my neighborhood would have been $150 max, right? You know what I mean? And it's just such a disparity. The closer you get to New York, the closer you get to
the more even in taxes, right?
Yeah,
you know, you got 10 to 12,000 is a normal tax price, annual tax price up there. But yeah, that's the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
So closing those deals it's great when you can get that done.
Sure.
Because it's rather complex under the circumstances. Yeah.
And we're a volume based business, so of course it's way better to sell a house for $750 than it is to sell for $250. You know, got to sell 3 houses.
How do you push garbage, right?
Yeah. Man, lipstick on a pig is still a pig.
Lipstick, right.
For sure.
So
and
we've had those dilemmas.
Yeah.
So it's about creativity, right? You have to be creative as a if you're doing an open house and you got your buyers and you can see their body language, right? Because that's like the first thing I'm looking at as they're coming in with their agent. The body language is like, okay, they're definitely not happy, but I have a job to do, right? I have to perform.
You got to sell.
So we got it right. We got to get creative. So now I'm just the neighborhood, the location, what's nearby, what's this, what's that. For example, I have a property right now listing in Union City. It's in a great new building. The building's about 13 years old. It's 2-bedroom, so it's not big, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And you can see all of New York. You're across the street from what's called the Vessel, if you know what the Vessel is, right? You're right across the street, Hudson Yards. You can see all of New York skyline, all of Secaucus, East Rutherford. Like it's a dope building, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so you have your HOAs, right? Because it's a condo, and so people are questioning that. So I gotta that's what it is, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. So how do we get away from that?
How do you pretty that up?
Right. And so like right now, I'm going back and forth. There's a couple agents where I'm trying to get my numbers, and obviously they're trying to go down on theirs, and I'm trying to go up on mine, and I'm like, yo, we got to sell, right? We got to do what we got to do. We got to come to this table, make that agreement, right? So we're all happy. Your buyers are happy, my seller's happy. We can close this deal. So like for me, I don't do too much of the highest and best thing. I just believe we're leaving money on the table sometimes, right? Because I want to make sure we're all happy, right? I've been on both sides. So I know as a listing agent, right, I'm worried about my client, obviously, and as a buyer, you're worried about yours. But I also know as a buyer what that buyer's agent is thinking. And so how do we be fair with each other, right? How do we make this work? It's not about, like, I've been in situations where I'll do the offer, whatever, they say 30 offers go in, oh, we went with a different offer. And it almost leaves you like at void, like what's going on, like what happened, why did we lose, how did we lose, what was so competitive, what were the differences. And agents today don't talk too much, right? I almost feel like they're scared to do their job in negotiations, right? Back in the day, from my understanding, if you're an agent, I'm an agent, our deal is negotiate, let's get it. Right now, agents are more like submit the offer and it is what it is.
And there has been a little bit of a shift. Sometimes it's weird. It's different people. Like some agents that I get around will talk to any agent from any company, from anywhere, go out, have lunch, talk about this stuff because they know abundance mindset. My money's not your money. There's enough to go around kind of thing. But then there's other people that are like, well, if I say the wrong thing, they're going to take my secret sauce and use it against me. And I'm like, it's real estate. What kind of secret sauce can you have in real estate? What do you got, some fairy dust that you sprinkle on your offers when you send them over? I mean, come on, dude.
We're all doing the same thing.
If I can talk to another loan officer and help them get better and help them make more money and help them provide for their family, it's just positive energy on my end. Like,
what they're going to
why would I hold it back? Somehow, some way, the universe, whatever you believe in, the karmic energy, whatever, somehow I will be rewarded for helping people out.
Absolutely.
And,
I
hoarding that stuff never works.
I tell agents all the time when they come to me with phone calls about the particular situation, I tell them, like, I need you as much as you need me. Like it's not about, whatever. It's like, let's make the deal. Let's right, meeting of the minds. Let's get it, right? And unfortunately, where we're at today, other agents don't agree, I guess. I believe in, and it's like, and I felt like Rob, Rob, right? Rob Eunice. I mean, I watched this guy, follow him, like he was big, or he is a big motivator for me, inspirational, just because of his personality, right? And so I love the fact that he tells you like it is. Right? We need that. We need because how do I get better if you don't tell me what's going on? Right? And I'm not perfect, and sometimes we all need to be checked. We all need to be motivated. And so like that mindset is what keeps me pushing to be better for me, but also whoever's coming to me, right? Like I don't say I can teach anyone, but I put it out there. If it's a lesson for you, then let's do it, right? Let's go for it. But yeah, no, I agree with a lot of stuff. We gotta help each other. Seriously, like we do. We're in business together. I can't sell my house without you. You can't you can't do your thing without me, right? So it's like we gotta be here for each other.
Relationships, for sure. All right, your final question, your personal question. Let me figure out here. We got okay. You get a chance to sit down with anyone throughout history, whether they're alive or dead, and have a 30-minute conversation with them. Who would the person be that you'd want to sit down with, and what would be the first question that you'd ask them?
Throughout history?
Anyone. Alive or dead, famous, not famous.
Well, somebody that and again, I've always been in business. I'm a business guy, like my mindset. I've always attracted to like Warren Buffett. Right? Only because he's done what he's done. I mean, the guy, he should be relaxing now. But he still has that drive. So it's like, and he's talked about it all the time, but like, what is his daily motivation, or like, what keeps him in that phase to always, even now,
be an 80-year-old billionaire and still grinding like
he's
like
grinding
you're
like
poor.
he's 20. Like he's
you're young and poor.
Right. Like what in him gives him, what is his like we all have a focus, right? I'm big on family. So for me, like I'm working hard now, but it's for the family, right? Long term. So is it that, right? Like what is his...
What's his why?
Point? And I get the money and business, and it may even be fun, or the strategy of the transaction, right? Because I can get that too. I like the transaction. I've done deals. I don't even know what I'm getting paid on the deal. I'm just happy that I'm at close because it's a transaction. Like for me, that's part of the drive, right? So I would ask him like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, what is your like push for? Like, dude, you own the world, right? Like, you own everything. Like, what makes you not want to just chill out now? You're done. You're old. You're like, chill out. Go to the beach.
And also like, when is enough? I always wonder that for myself. Like, if I have 100 rental properties, is that gonna be enough? Or am I gonna want more? He's got everything.
That's what I mean.
Is he ever going to get to the point where he's like, okay, now I can vacation?
I know his philosophies are growth. Always grow, never stay still. So maybe it's that. I've never asked the actual question, so I don't know the actual answers, right? But it's awesome because I look at that stuff, and I watch the market and stuff, and I listen to his things and what he says, and I actually have a portfolio of stocks based on what he does.
Okay.
Like he makes moves, I make those moves.
Follow right on.
Absolute to the T. So I just don't buy that many, right?
Right.
I don't buy those numbers, but
take a couple zeros off and send it through.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I look at that and I'm like, I gave you the story where he still lived in the $300,000 house, but he's like a billionaire. So like it ain't the money, right? It's not the money that drives him because he doesn't need it. So what is the actual driver? What's his why, like you called it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Awesome.
We could all take some of that.
Thank you so much for coming through. We'll be back next week with another edition of Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood.